Hi everybody. So I wanted to welcome you to another vlog of mine, and right now I'm out walking Tyler. As you can see, he's having a ball in the wilderness. He likes going on his hikes. I usually try to do it at least once a week, but here lately I've been having some scheduling issues, and so oh, sorry about that. So he hasn't been able to go out but maybe once a month, and so I usually take him out, and then afterwards he gets a cheeseburger, plain of course, from McDonald's for his treat for being such a good dog all week. So anyways, I wanted to do this vlog to let you know why I decided to do an episode for Chasing Bigfoot on my series, The Seeker. And a lot of it goes back to my childhood. So when I was younger, me and my older brother would go out into the wilderness and set like rabbit traps and the such to get food. I know that sounds gross to some of you, but that was pretty much a staple for us because we were raised poor. And I had a lot of brothers and sisters, and my mother was a single parent for most of the time. My dad was in and out, but for the most part, she was a single parent. But anyhow, we would go out into the woods and the areas of like forests, like you see here, and set rabbit traps. And he would tell me stories. Now remember, I'm maybe 6 or 7 at this point, up until like 8 or 9. And he would tell me stories of monsters and wild animals, and of course my mind just reeled with adventurous stories and the such. And one of them was Bigfoot, and he was so obsessed with growing up and tracking down Bigfoot. And just to think that there's something elusive out there that nobody's ever been able to capture, as far as I know. And there's a lot of videos out there, a lot of pictures, and it's just nothing positive proof that these things do exist. So I have to keep an eye on Tyler, so if I look away from you guys, that's probably what's going on. So he wanted to grow up and chase Bigfoot, look for Bigfoot, be a Bigfoot, hunter and stuff like that. I hate using that word hunter, but it didn't work out for him. So he ended up having a child at an early age and got married, and this was in the 70s, early 80s, and his life just took him in a totally different direction. And so but that lit a fire in me to do certain things, such as what I'm doing now, and looking for Bigfoot and looking for lost ghost towns, and and other such topics that I'll be covering on this series. And so I thought, what, how fun would it be to actually God, there's a lot of animals out here today, so to actually hunt for Bigfoot. And so that's what Noah and I set out to do. So as you noticed in part 1, we went to the Bigfoot Museum in Boring, Oregon, the biggest Bigfoot museum in the country. And it didn't seem that big, but it's actually pretty big. And then of course we went in part 2 to a local park in Estacada, just to kind of get a feel for it. And we ended up coming across, some dramatic things. But in part 3, you're going to see the conclusion of that, and I think you're going to be surprised of what happens. I will tell you, although I did not find Bigfoot, there are a lot of those out there who still are hunting for the elusive creature. And some people who have, a lot of stories and reports and pictures and videos and the such. But don't let that discourage you by watching this series. We had fun doing what we did, and who knows, maybe we'll go back and do it again. I don't know. Oops, sorry. I'm trying to switch hands on my camera. I definitely had a lot of fun, and heard and felt and sensed some things, and I can't positively say that that's what it was, whether it's a Bigfoot or not. Hey everybody, sorry about getting cut off. I accidentally didn't load a fresh battery. So I'm back home and wanted to finish up this intro to the vlog. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was the theories of Bigfoot. And there are a lot of theories out there, and one of them, we'll kind of go through them a little bit. One of them is that, it's a missing link. I don't really buy that one. I believe that Bigfoot is an entity upon itself. The other one is that Bigfoot is a northern ape or primate. I buy that a little bit more, even though I think there's a little bit of human in Bigfoot, maybe a more evolved ape. I don't know. The third one is aliens, and when it seems like in this field of paranormal or cryptozoology, when people can't explain things, they always go to aliens. However, I will say this, that there are many reports across the country and even overseas that tells of people seeing Bigfoot and flying saucers at the same time. I haven't really done a lot of research with that, but it's there. It's something to explore and investigate. Just another thing to add to your list. The fourth one I want to talk about is one that my grandmother had, and she had this theory that when the Ice Age or the comet hit the Earth and the cataclysmic thing that happened with the disappearance of dinosaurs, that there were humans at the time and that they went underground to protect themselves. And when people, it's been proven theory in science that we adapt as humans to our surroundings very well, and that's one thing that's the best thing about our species. However, in this case, if they went down to the caves, when you adapt to darkness, your senses change, such as your eyesight. You tend to grow more hair on your body, to protection of warmth and the such. And this is one of the reasons why my grandmother says that Bigfoot only comes out at night, which makes it a nocturnal creature. But I'm not quite sure about that. It's nothing that's been proven. But like my grandma states, that at some point in time they came out of the caves and started to explore. This would explain the high intelligence of these creatures. Think about this. You're in Oregon, Washington, wherever, say the Pacific Northwest. Even though there's been sightings all over the country, let's just take the Pacific Northwest. There's a lot of land out here that nobody has explored even yet. We tend to think that we've explored every inch of this planet, and we haven't. We're still discovering new species of animals every day. So I believe I stated before when I was taking Tyler for a hike that it wasn't until the early 1900s that we even knew gorillas existed, or pandas for that matter. So we can't really say that there is no Bigfoot. We have to kind of keep an open mind and accept the fact that we don't know everything. So my grandma thinks that these beings came out of the caves and started exploring around, and that explains their high intelligence and why they're nocturnal. So that's the theories behind all that. I don't really have one favorite because I try to keep an open mind tainted with some skepticism, because I don't have any conclusion or answers to any of that myself. Maybe one day I will. I don't know. People have spent their whole lives hunting for Bigfoot and finding explanations for it. But until we actually capture one of them and study them, which I hate to see that happen, because we as humans also have the ability to destroy things. And I'm afraid that if we ever do catch a Bigfoot and examine it and, test it and all that stuff in a laboratory, and that it's proven that they do exist, us as humans are like locusts. We will go out and just destroy their habitat, and maybe it's best we don't find a Bigfoot. I don't know. But this video is not to prove or disprove that Bigfoot exists. It's to put questions in your mind, open up your mind to the possibility of it. So with that being said, I wanted to also talk about my new book. I got a new book out, just published last week. It's called My Paranormal Life by Mark Miner. You can find it on Amazon, as well as my other books. In this book, I covered a lot of topics of the paranormal and of cryptozoology, but I wanted to take it in a critical thinking way, meaning you can't trust your senses. You can't trust those things you see out of the side of your eye or what might be a sound in the forest. You have to go with logic and with evidence, physical evidence. And you have to be able to test. If you hear a sound in the forest, test to see what that might be. Even though we as humans are jittery and we jump at the slightest thing, we have to use logic to accompany our senses. In the book, I also talk about psychological reasonings behind the paranormal and cryptozoology. I also talk about science and criminal aspects of it. I know that may sound weird to you, but you have to take all that in to being a parapsychologist or a cryptozoologist, because we can't just bumble around in the darkness and Scooby-Doo our answers. We have to go out there and take what we find and put it into some kind of conclusions for ourselves, not necessarily that for others. Those who do make videos, such as we put these videos out there to make you question things, not to show positive proof of anything. If that's what you're wanting to do, then I encourage you to go out and do the same things for yourself. The other thing I want to talk about is I want to share with you some never before seen pictures of some of our adventures and show you about some of the places we've been. I think it'd be kind of fun to have you guys see some of the places that we've, several of my friends and I have been hiking and or investigating or just out and about. Another part of this series is, reason why I made it is to let people see the adventure side of me as a writer. Readers and my family and friends always ask me where I come up with my stories. And true to the form that I am mostly paranormal, I do also write about murder mysteries and local topics. And what gets me is when I hear someone talk about a certain thing and it intrigues me. And so I take that intrigue and I do some research online and then go out in the field or hit the ground running. And I investigate and I try to see if there's something to it. You won't see me on this series a lot on the computer because I think that would be really boring for you. But I wanted readers to see how I investigated these stories and how I put them into books. So I tend to take real stories and then fictionize them. Not just for legal reasons, but because, some part of being a writer is you embellish. Readers want to be entertained. They want a story. It's like a movie in their head when they read. And so, if you want to write, what we actually do, that would be more of an autobiography. And I'm just not really into that. But this next book is my first nonfiction. My Paranormal Life is my first nonfiction, and it took me a long time to get done. So I hope you enjoy. Look for that book online. So stay tuned for some of the video or photo montage, I should say, that I'm going to give to you. And I hope you enjoy, and I'll talk to you in just a second. Alright guys, enjoy. See you in a little bit. Alright, I hope you enjoyed those videos, or those pictures, I should say. I keep saying videos. I hope you enjoyed the pictures, and I'm glad you tuned in and watched this episode. It's always good to see me on a little bit on the personal side, so you kind of see who's behind the adventure. I'd like to also start doing this with some of the people that go on these adventures. Noah has, however, moved on. He won't be back. For various reasons, I really shouldn't stay here. But we'll have guests. You'll always see Austin, and we'll have guests such as Dax and Christy and Monica and other people. So on these vlogs, we'll get to know them as well, and that way you'll feel like you're part of all the adventure, and you're part of the family. So thank you again for watching. Be sure to hit those likes. I love your comments. Please leave the comments. If you got any ideas or places to go or people to talk to or follow up on current or past videos, feel free to leave some comments and subscribe. That helps us keep these videos airing up on YouTube, and it really makes my sponsors happy. So thank you so much for tuning in, and you guys are awesome, and I'll talk to you very soon. Look forward to the next video. We got one more episode of Chasing Bigfoot and one more episode of Lost Haunted Ghost Town, and then we're moving on to two new topics, which is we're going to visit the witches castle in Portland. Many of you have been there that live in Portland. And then we're also going to go towards cave creatures and alien visitations. Yeah, that's a pretty big one. So you guys take care, and thanks again for dropping by.